nagbabago ang buhay natin dahil sa pandemya, mas mabuting mag-tech ka muna. Pero teka muna, sandali, sandali. Bago kayo mag-click, mag-like o mag-share, dapat merong extra care. Ako po si Monisberto, ang inyong Tech Lolo. Welcome na naman sa isang bagong episode ng ating programang Tech Ka Muna. Tayo po ay napapanood ng live sa 1PH, Signal TV, Channel 1, and you can also see us live and on demand sa Facebook page at saka sa YouTube channel ng 1PH. Good evening mga kaibigan. Unang-una, thank you very much. I'm back live. Nakabawi na ako sa COVID. I went through COVID early last month in August. I was in quarantine for 3 weeks. At ngayon ay nakarecover na ako sa COVID pero hindi pa 100% no, kasi meron pa medyo pauspa yung aking boses ng konti kaya konting pasensya po mga kaibigan, pero I'm so happy to be back and I would like to thank my family, my wife and my kids who took care of me, our doctors, no? Si Dr. Bing, at saka ang Bing Bermudez and also the medical staff of Asian Hospital, si Kelly, our nurse, Dr. Samaniego. They nursed me back to health and thank you very much for that. Mga kaibigan, totoo po, meron tayong talagang pandemic. Kung pwede kayo magpa-vaccine na kayo. And of course, follow the usual health protocols para tayo ay magiging stay safe tayo at saka stay well. Okay, ngayon, tuloy tayo sa ating programa and tonight, we have a really very interesting subject and 4 very interesting guests to help us discuss this subject. And what is this? Alam niyo ba, marami ng mga tao sa Pilipinas at saka sa buong mundo na nagtatayo ng iba't ibang mga technology companies, mga tech companies. At kasabay niyan, dumadami po ang mga kababaihan na nagtatayo ng mga kumpanyang ito at sila ang nagpapatakbo. Pero alam mo, maraming hamon. There are many challenges to the lives of women technopreneurs. They don't have it as easy as the men, and we'll discuss why later on. And they face special challenges. And one of the things that has been done to help women technopreneurs is a group of women technopreneurs and their supporters have organized a startup competition called She Loves Tech. Yun pong pangalan, She Loves Tech. No? So, and this competition is a global competition. I think there are 30 countries, contestants from 30 countries who are participating in this competition. Pag-uusapan natin yung competition at saka paano ba ang buhay ngayon ng mga women technopreneurs. And our first set of guests, let's start bringing them in. Ang una-una po ay let's bring in Ms. Rhea C., who is a co-founder and co-CEO of She Loves Tech. Good evening, Rhea. Welcome.
Hi, Mon. Good evening. Happy to be here. Hi, everyone.
Thank you very much for joining us. And also with us is Katrina Chan, Executive Director of Idea Space and QBO and one of the partners of She Loves Tech. Good evening, Kat. Welcome to the program.
Good evening. Yes, and glad to see that you fully recovered from COVID, Mon. So, very glad to be here tonight.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm medyo nahihirapan pa ng konti, so I'm gonna let you guys do all the talking. But anyway, sige,
Always
let me
do that.
Okay, but let's start with the basics po na, just to be sure na nakakaintindihan tayo ng ating mga tagapanood. No? When you say a startup competition, can you explain that quickly? What is a startup competition? Rhea?
Well, I mean, a startup competition, of course, it varies depending on what startup competition you're referring to. But a startup competition is essentially, at least for She Loves Tech, a pitch competition showcasing different technology businesses and giving them the opportunity, the stage to tell the world and the general audience what they're doing and to get the support that they need.
So parang they will stand before an audience, virtual or real, and they'll explain their business. Parang binibenta, they're trying to sell their business to possible funders. Ganun ba yun?
Yes, yes. So they're pitching, right? So they're pitching their businesses, their ideas, what problems they want to solve, their products, to let either the audience buy in, investors invest, and media to cover them. Really, it depends on the audience, but at the end of the day, they're there to sell, right? To sell their products, to get people to know more about them and to buy their products.
So, Rhea, how many countries are participating in this in international competition?
We've been around for 7 years now, so this is our eighth year actually. And this year we're doing the competition in 50 different countries. So
Wow.
it's
Okay.
a journey with our partner Kubo as well, right? With Kat, we've been doing this for a few years now, and this year we're covering 50 countries. So the pandemic, the COVID actually helped us expand actually with the online and with the virtual world. So that's one positive side of COVID, I would say. But nevertheless, yes, this year we're going to be covering 50 different countries and super excited. We have startups coming from 70 countries as well. So, yeah, we're very, very excited.
Okay. Kat, how did you guys in Idea Space and Kubo get into this? How did you get involved?
Oh, actually, so we do host a number of startup competitions. Like going back to your first question, maraming klase yan, Sir Mon. So, yung iba idea pa lang, yung iba parang talagang medyo buo na yung business nila and they just are looking for more
Mm,
funding, no? So,
okay.
um, we started Kubo and Idea Space parang like 5 years ago. Tapos, our goal is really to help small businesses and startups, no? So, ano ba yung startup? They're businesses that are using tech to be able to scale quickly and they're disrupting something. So, if you think about, kumare Grab, no? I think lahat ng po tayo alam ko ano yung Grab. Um,
Mm,
siguro even like 5, 10 years ago, if I had told siguro my dad or my mom na, oh, like, I'm gonna take a ride in a stranger's car, parang ganyan, sobrang, that's a crazy idea, diba? Pero using tech, using, like, all of these parang, it's like, it's a disruptive idea in a way, no? Like, you're able to, scale something up that's using technology. So, I mean, to answer your question, we've been holding a lot of these startup competitions, pero we've also seen na talagang mas maraming guys, no? Like, siguro pag inisip natin, kahit most of the viewers siguro, pag sinabi mong tech entrepreneur, ang una na iisipin or, I don't know, si Elon Musk, ganyan, or si Jeff Bezos, di ba? Um,
that's right.
so, yeah, so a few years ago, we actually partnered with She Loves Tech, and the focus was really to look at the Pinays naman, di ba? Or look at the women in tech, and how can we
Okay.
kumbaga, help them scale up their businesses. Kasi sa Pilipinas, we've had women, I don't know, president, Supreme Court Justice, all of these things, no? Pero when it comes sa tech scene, konti pa rin yung women talaga that are really being highlighted and standing out when it comes to parang business owners or mga technopreneurs, tinatawag natin, no? So, that's, I think, the motivation behind She Loves Tech also when it comes especially to the Philippines na we can highlight the Pinays that are doing amazing businesses as well. So yeah.
Okay. You just opened the subject that I wanted to go to next. Why something exclusively or particularly for women technopreneurs? Meron bang digital divide dito sa sa mga startup industry? Rhea, what's your view on that?
Well, as Kat already mentioned, masyado na maraming mga lalaki sa industry na to. So we don't need to create another startup competition just for men. And we want to specifically create a competition, a stage, to spotlight all the women doing amazing things in the industry, right? When we talk about the divide, there's on and off, it changes each year, but it has never passed 20%, right? The participation of women as founders in the tech industry, it's
Okay.
always less than that. That's globally, of course. And that just goes to show, right? The entire world, we have half of the population being women, and yet, half of that is being ignored. So if you think about how important technology is to our lives and how much it could potentially solve a lot of our, challenges in the world, and yet women are not participating in that, right? There's many issues that can be found. On top of that, of course, also the women founders, right? Even if they've already started their businesses, they are faced with a lot of different challenges as founders to fundraise in their businesses. There's just many different challenges, and so we want to create this competition, this program specifically to address that, to give them more opportunities, to bridge the gap, right? To match them with investors, with other resources and other opportunities.
But Rhea and Kat, no, you bring up this point, particularly fundraising. Getting money, getting investors to invest in their companies. I've been reading materials, no, in different, Google ako. Sabi ng ibang mga articles na talagang mas mahirap daw mag-raise ng pera ang mga women bosses or women startup founders. Bakit naman ganun? Is it an old boys club ba ang mga funders? Ganun ba ang sistema dito?
I guess a little bit, no, Mon. I think it's natural lang. For one, it's natural din na you fund, parang yung nakaka-relate mo, di ba? So, if you see
Mm.
yourself in the entrepreneur or parang, oh, this was me like 20 years ago, ganon, di ba? Parang mas likely mo i-fund. And the reality is, at the moment, mas marami pa rin talagang male investors din, no? So,
Mhm.
kung kokonti yung mga female founders, lalo nung mas konti, I guess, yung female investors. I think that's definitely one aspect of it.
So, yeah,
And
yeah,
then,
yeah.
when you look at, alam mo yun, minsan iba rin yung mga tinatanong sa females eh. So, alam mo yun, I think if you're a guy na pitching your startup idea, no one's ever gonna ask you parang, oh, are you planning to get married or have kids in the next 10
Ganon.
years or whatever, no? May mga ganon. So, I
You
think
get questions like that? I
mahirap
mean,
iwasan, pero those are some of the realities that the female founders face. And there's also this tendency to think na parang there are certain ideas na parang for women lang, kuwari beauty or fashion, ganyan. Pero some of
mm,
the most lucrative sectors are mas traditionally associated with men. So, kunwari sa Philippines is sa mga pinaka booming ngayon are fintech, 'di ba? Pero when you think about finance or when you think about numbers, ganyan, it's more male dominated. So, I think those are again some biases maybe we have na hindi naman sinasadya but are there. But I don't know, Rhea, what do you think? Um,
Rhea, from your
No,
experience.
no, echoing everything Kat said, totoo, may mga ganun talaga. Pero may improvement na rin naman. Like, nagsimula yung She Loves like in 2015, and at that time talaga, like, starting from just like the businesses, marami talagang biases in terms of ano yung iniisip nila na ginagawang businesses ng mga babae, right? Like Kat said, maybe beauty, lifestyle. And unfortunately, that's not usually the type of businesses that investors really look for, especially when you're talking about tech investors. But gradually, may improvement naman. But at the end of the day, may gender divide nga rin talaga sa investor side, right? So even if nababawasan yung bias, first of all, meron pa rin yung unconscious bias, right? So even if hindi nila sinasadya, like hindi maiwasan, right? So nag-lessen na rin yung mga questions na talagang targeted towards gender. Pero meron din mga questions na, for example, for men, right? They ask about, they look at potential. So they ask about the future. Whereas for women founders, typically they ask, oh, ano na nagawa mo? Ano na mga traction? Ano na? Parang kailangan mo muna i-prove yung sarili mo before pa nila maisip na, okay, tingnan natin kung ano yung business, ano yung potential. So may mga ganun na hindi naman sinasadya. Pero, ganun talaga yung pag-iisip nila. So, mahirap, I guess. May mga things na dapat talagang i-change sa industry. And to your point earlier, actually, there is such a thing as the boys club, right? Actually, if you look at majority of the funds, talagang mas konti pa yung women participation dyan, especially at the partner level. And meron talagang,
Okay.
yung boys club na yan, like, mahirap hanapin. So hindi makapasok yung mga babae, right? So, in general, to get funding, you need to integrate into this circle. Pero as women founders, it's even harder, right? So, on one hand, you don't know where this is. And on top of that, puro lalaki pa. So, mahirap mahipag-networking or mahanap ng mga investors.
Let me ask the two of you this question because I read this in an article from the United States, no? Na ang mga women startup founders daw, when they make a pitch to investors, um, the amount that they ask for from the investors tend to be, tawag ng article, conservative daw, meaning kung anong kailangan lang, yun ang hinihingi. Pero daw ang mga lalaki na startup na nagpipitch sa mga investors daw, sobra-sobra daw yung hinihingi, mas malaki yung amount na hinihingi dun sa mga funders. Now, the negative effect daw ito for women daw is kasi ang ginagawa daw ng investors dahil nasanay sila sa mga lalaki, dini-discount, binababa na daw nila yung amount na binibigay o ina-approve. In your experience, ganun ba ang nakikita nyo rin na kumbaga mas aggressive mag-pitch yung mga lalaki kaysa sa mga babae in terms of the amount?
I mean, personally, I would say that's true. Yun paano ba? Like, yun nga hindi naman, wala lang masamang tumawad, I guess, diba? For any investor kami, nag-invest din kami. So, like, I think you're usually tumatawad ka talaga. Pero, yun nga, ano yung starting point ng negotiation, diba? So, I think generally mas maangas, quote-unquote, ang guys. Or kahit hindi pa nangyayari,
Mhm.
kumbaga, sasabihin nila, yes, naniniwala ako. Like, I believe these are my projections. These are what I can do, di ba? As opposed to women na mas sigurista, parang they won't talk about something until, kumbaga, sure na talaga. I think a part of it is
Mm.
also boils down to experience. At the end of the day, parang mas marami pa rin yung women na first-time founders or first-time na
Sa
mag-business,
bagay.
no?
That's true.
Yes. And
Oh.
kumbaga sanay ka nang mag-pitch. Mag-pitch meaning sanay ka nang sabihin sa mga investors, 'di ba, na ito yung business ko, ito yung plan namin, ito yung kailangan
Yeah.
naming funding. The more you've done it, the more likely you are to be able to convince people that, it's a solid, parang backable plan. And I think that experience gap between men and women is also something we need to address, no?
Okay. Okay.
So yeah.
So Rhea, what do you think about what can you say about that point?
Yeah, no, it's completely true in that sense. I mean, the discounting part, as Kat said, it's just part of the process, but that's not really the root of the problem.
Mhm.
The problem is sometimes really the confidence, right? The overconfidence and the lack of confidence as well. I think historically, my
Mm, that's true.
psychological challenges din talaga. But more importantly, I think on a positive note, it just goes to show that women are really good at running businesses as well. Actually, we looked at the data from our applications last year, and we realized that around 70% of the applications were bootstrapped. So when you say bootstrap, it means that they are already like generating revenue or they have enough funds to cover the
Mm,
operation.
okay.
So that means that women are less likely to fundraise. And also at the same time, when they fundraise for less because they don't think they need it, right? But actually, if you're thinking about a technology startup, right? Actually, you're thinking about scale, right? That's why people are fundraising. They're fundraising for scale,
To
for
scale.
funding for that, so that they can expand. Unfortunately, pros and cons, right? And I think strategically as well, my challenge, right, for women, so they're not used to that mindset. So that's why there are programs like Kubo, like us, that does this as well to change that a little bit, right? Unfortunately, we need to teach women how to play the field, like play the industry right now. We cannot change like the industry as a whole overnight, so we need to give them like a playbook to understand like how to work around what's happening right now, and facing male investors and how they look for startups. Yeah.
Well, yung kasi you tend to more often than not you're facing male investors rather than female investors, no?
That's right.
Pero
Actually, if
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
actually, although that is a problem, sometimes actually we notice that female investors do not invest in female founders as well. So there is
Oh,
that
harsh
problem.
na tayo, no?
Yeah, mas
No?
harsh. Oo. So
Oh,
actually, talagang mas malaki pa yung problema talaga sa investor side na sana, we can improve. Yeah.
okay, okay. Kasi, well, I don't know. Baka kasi, mas sigurista yung mga women, whether you are a founder or an investor. Is that how it goes?
Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe. And it's not
Marami
always a
mga
bad thing. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Like, it's
oh,
not always a bad thing. Yun nga parang, I think performance-wise, women-led companies tend to do better, especially pag taghirap. Especially, kung nga rin now, di ba, we're in the
mm,
facing a
oh,
pandemic.
oh,
I would even say na, but yeah, like, there are, and I mean, as much as we'd like to think na it doesn't matter. Meron pa rin ibang dynamic sometimes, not just with the female investors, but with the female founders as well. So,
Okay, okay.
yeah.
Well, sige. Now, you put up She Loves Tech precisely to help address these issues. No? So, what are you doing now, for example, no? And how is this activity helping out women technopreneurs? Rhea, let's start with you.
So She Loves Tech, essentially, as we mentioned, it's a stage, right? We're giving the opportunity for women globally to be able to pitch and let everyone know about their businesses. We're also specifically, addressing the challenges that women face, right, as part of a curriculum, as part of various like mentorship, like workshops and different activities that we run throughout this program. So actually, the competition is just a starting point. Throughout the competition as well, we run different education programs to help them address specifically, the things that we just mentioned today. And then finally, really, the main thing is investment, right? So although at the roots, our goal in doing Schlovsec is to bring more women into tech and more tech into women, we are here to really address the funding gap for women founders and for women impact startups as well. So by in the next 10 years, we want to catalyze 1 billion US dollars worth of capital for women. So as part of the program, we're trying to bridge investors and startups. So we create opportunities for them to meet. We match, we recommend, and we invest ourselves as well. So yeah, that I would say the biggest opportunity that the startups get from joining the Street of Side competition is the network, the community that they're joining, the access. As mentioned, there is also a problem with finding the investors, right? Even if they want to fundraise, they don't know where to find these people.
Oo nga.
So really, the access that we're providing as well as part of this program.
But Rhea and Kat, so how are the investors responding? Interesado ba sila? Do they think na, oh, it's worth the time and the money to talk with this all women crew? No? Anong experience nyo dyan, Kat?
I think most investors, yun nga eh, at the end of the day, they want to make money, diba? And I think the data shows actually na, yun nga, a lot of, if not women-led, at least like, kunwari a leadership team that has a good diversity when it comes to gender
Okay.
actually performs better. So, in that sense, yes, I do think like investors are paying more attention just from a purely performance perspective. I
Mhm.
think you're also seeing that yun nga, there's so much untapped potential. Yun nga, I think at the end of the day, parang the idea right now in a lot of siguro the mainstream mind is, 'di ba, parang a founder, a tech person has to look like, I don't know, Mark Zuckerberg or Jack Ma, ganyan, 'di ba? But you know, the 'di ba, the half of the population is women. There's so many problems that and kumbaga the holder of the wallet in many cases are women, 'di ba?
Hmm.
So it makes a lot of sense to invest in women-led companies or companies that are conscious about how they are addressing, 'di ba, the needs of women as well. So I think it's a
Okay.
good investment thesis to invest in women, and that's why I think more investors are receptive to this, and it's not just for show but because it makes monetary sense to do so. That's
Okay.
my
So,
take.
so, so they can actually make money, by making these investments.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
But Rhea, let me throw this question to you because I was looking at your 2020 report the other day, and one interesting thing I found was that what nearly three quarters, 73% of your participants are first-time founders,
Hmm.
and 68% or nearly 70% have no tech background.
Right.
Is this ito ba yung talagang gusto nyong sumama o ganun talaga ang sitwasyon na women are just entering this field so they're first time founders most of the time?
I mean, hindi, I mean, I wouldn't say na yan yung gusto namin sumama or hindi namin gusto sumama, right? So in general, we're just looking for really good technologies, really good startups that are being led or impacting women basically. But we did notice that, right? And so that just actually shows what the industry is like now, and actually it also shows like a problem, right? Because it means that women are a little bit later in terms of joining this industry, but also a positive that side, there's increasingly more women, right? Because when you say first time founders, it means that finally, right, they're joining, because prior to this there's even less women, even less founders who are creating businesses. So it's both like an opportunity and I would say not a challenge, but it tells us, right, what is the situation right now and what we can still do to improve that. I mean, it doesn't really I mean, it's not a bad thing to become a first time founder, but specifically we're talking about like these women, right? So it just tells us that finally, there's change happening. There's more and more women. In terms of not having a tech background, then yeah, that's also something that we want to change, right? Because we want more women to start in the early stage, right? This is a
Yeah.
different conversation altogether already, but education, that's definitely one source of the problem. That's why this is the case right now when it comes to like the
Okay.
tech industry.
You opened another door because I was gonna ask you, is part of the problem due to education? Meaning, women are not either they're not going to the courses that would prepare them for tech, or uh, it's not available to them as not as available to men. Kasi
I would
mga magulang nila
I
hindi
Yeah, exactly.
pinopromote.
Actually, yung magulang actually, Mon, I think has a big thing to do with it. I went to Pisay, I studied engineering, and I was definitely the exception. No? Like, I think the norms or the
Mm,
mindsets have a lot to do with it. Ay, parang babae, hindi yan magaling sa math, ganyan, or this is a guy's job, no? And kumbaga, kahit hindi naman, it's a lot of unconscious parang biases, also a lot of norms that we have to deal with. Pero at the same time, like, there's no actual reason, di ba, why women are better at certain jobs or men are at others more than the culture. Um, so, kumare, like, marami tayong and it also works the other way around. So, for example, like when you think about health or caregiving, mga ganyan, like there's no reason why guys can't be good at that also if that's very lucrative, diba? So, um, I think a lot of this has to do with not so much the availability of education. Wala naman nagsasabi na, hey, like, bawal kang mag-engineer, di ba? Pero, if you're girl, or bawal kang mag-nursing if you're a guy, di ba? Pero it's I think our cultural biases that we have to also get over, no, para
okay, okay.
just to improve exposure across the board. Yes.
Rhea and Kat, we have to stop here at this point, no? But we'll bring you back later on for the question and answer portion of the program. Nice conversation. We'll continue it later on. But in the meantime, mga kaibigan, we will take a break. Huwag po kayong malis. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back mga kapatid. We're going to continue our discussion tungkol sa mga women technopreneurs, particularly yung mga sumasali sa itong competition na She Loves Tech. And speaking about competition, kanina we were talking with the organizers of the competition. Ang kakausapin naman natin ngayon ay dalawa sa mga nag-participate sa competition na ito. Let me introduce them to you. Unang-una po si Mau Ledesma. Hi Mau. Oops, Mau, your mic is off.
Hi, thanks for having me. Sorry. Kala ko kung
Okay
ano na.
lang. Mau is
Thank you
the
for your
co-founder and chief marketing officer of an outfit called Vessel. Thank you
Correct
for
po.
joining
Yes.
us. Okay, Mau. And then kasama mo ngayong gabi is the CEO of Go Genie Solutions Inc., si Abby Victorino. Abby,
Hi, good evening. Hi,
hi.
Mal. Hi, Sir Mon.
Okay, Abby, thank you. Thank you to both of you for joining us tonight. Pero let me start off my questions to you by following through dun sa yung pinag-uusapan namin kanina ni Kat at saka ni Rhea. Totoo ba na, kumbaga, yung mga magulang pag sinabi mo, ay gusto ko mag-inging engineering, no? O mag-IT ako. Yung mga ibang mga magulang daw ay matamlay ang sagot. Totoo ba yun? Ganun ba yung naging experience ninyo nung nag-aaral pa kayo? Sino yan? Mau, you wanna answer that one?
Ako, okay lang naman. Siguro, syempre, di naman mababa yung grades ko sa math. So, okay lang naman siguro kung engineering, no? Pero, nung sinabi kong gusto ko maging architect or something sa art, parang sinabihan na akong hindi kasi bawal kasi, syempre, walang pera dyan. It's normal kasi ganyan naman talaga sa Pilipinas. Or, hindi pa architect, pero mga fine arts yan kasi mahilig na ako sa drawing. So, yan yung mga parang wag. So, to answer your question po, parang hindi naman siya masyadong applicable sa akin. Maybe I'm lucky to have a supportive family na kahit anong gusto mo, okay lang. Pero, dapat napagkakakitaan. Ganun.
I've heard that argument again and again. No, ikaw naman, Abby. Sige. Ano
Ako
experience
din,
mo?
Sir Mon. Same. Actually, well, nung growing up, gusto ko talaga mag-artista. Wow. Joke.
Okay.
So talaga, hindi, ang tingin ng mga parents ko, either mag-beauty queen ako, mag-flight attendant, mag-model, or teacher, ganyan. So actually, ginawa ko lahat. Ginawa ko lahat
Okay.
siya after I graduated. It actually while I was still in college, ginawa ko siya para masaya sila. But when it was time for me to choose my own kumbaga passion, no. Medyo sumimangot mami ko nung sabi ko gusto kong mag-startup. Gusto kong magnegosyo. Yun, dun lang. Kasi I graduated marketing and I had a good job in Voyager Innovations. Ayan. Shout
Okay.
out to my Voyager family. Yun. So I was in a good place, kumbaga, career-wise. And then when I found out about Idea Space, and back then parang hindi pa uso yung startup na term talaga. But when it had appeal to me. And then I said, Mami, gusto ko mag-start ng sarili kong business. Yun. Doon na siya medyo parang, Yun.
So, ganun. I mean, I've heard that story countless times. Na pag lumapit ka, ikaw, Mau, pag lumapit ka sa magulang mo, gusto ko magtayo ng negosyo. Kahit hindi tech, medyo, ganun ba naging reaction din sa'yo?
Sa
Yes.
case ko po, napaisip. Actually, nagtrabaho ako at first. Syempre, I took finance kasi. So, ayun, nagtrabaho ako. Shout out to my Deutsche Bank family.
Okay.
Tapos,
Okay.
nag-masters ako sa abroad. So, masters in finance. So, hardcore finance. Sabi ko, kung gusto ko, I want to be an expert at something kasi. So, nag-masters ako ng finance sa Brussels and nagtrabaho ako sa London. In trade finance din. So,
Okay.
in a way, parang what I wanted to do siguro is to gain my parents or my family's trust na I know what I'm doing.
Mhm.
So, parang up to a point na parang kahit na when I decided to start my own company, Vessel, which is in fintech, finance pa rin, wala na silang questions. Ganon. So parang,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, may
Sige.
tiwala na sila. Parang ganon.
Now that you brought it up, no, can you briefly explain, no, what vessel? And I'll ask you the same question, Abby. What is that startup that you built, no, that you set up, no? Ang sabi, no, yung nabasa ko dun sa materials is that you provide a platform, a digital platform that provides small businesses with access to trade credit, insurance, and trade financing. O sige, I'll put the
Oo.
question this way. Kung ako negosyante, maliit na negosyante, anong tulong ang may bibigay mo sa akin? How can you help
Ba-
me run my business? Okay?
Sige po. Actually, sabihin na natin, nanakaw ko yung idea sa London.
Okay, okay.
So, nung nagtatrabaho ako doon sa trade finance, my job was syempre to make sure na kailangan may pera kami day in, day out. Kasi trading yun sa sugar. So, bumibili kami sa China, nagbibenta sa Philippines or sa Brazil kami bumibili, ganun. And marami kaming banks na nagsusupport sa amin. And yung secret doon is because lahat ng transactions namin ay insured, trade credit insured. In other words, kung yung buyers namin sa Pilipinas o sa Indonesia or kung saan man sa Africa hindi nagbayad, sasagot yung insurer. So sabi ko, di ko to alam nung nasa Pilipinas ba ako yung nanay ko nagtitrade din naman ng sugar dito sa Negros. Tapos naisip ko tanungin yung mga insurers. And what they said was, it's not worth their time to deal with small companies. Syempre, third world country.
Masyado maliit.
Oo,
Too
and
small.
SME. Correct. Bang for your buck. So yung pinagbibentahan nila ng ganitong type ng insurance is yung mga multinational companies, yung malaking
Mga malalaki.
transaction.
Okay.
Oo,
Okay.
yung insurers kasi nagcha-charge ng premium based sa size ng transaction mo . So, kaya walang nagma-market sa SMEs. Kaya di natin alam may ganitong product, which can make us confident with our trades. Kasi syempre, pwede tayong mag-trade sa Indonesia kahit di natin yun kilala. Kung may insurance tayo, okay lang. Kasi assured tayo na mababayaran, di ba? After 30 days or 60 days. Minsan, hingi pa yung mga taga-Indonesia ng mga 120 days. Siyempre, hindi ka kampante dyan. Pero kung may insurance ka, okay na. O, di ba?
Okay.
So yun po yung one of the problems. At yung isa ko pang secret na natutunan sa London is yung trade credit insurance, ginagamit siya na parang, in a way, parang guarantee or parang ginagamit ng mga bangko as, kung meron kang trade credit insurance, pahihiramin kita ng pera. Kasi confident ako na ang transaction mo mababayaran. So, i-advance ko sa'yo ngayon yung makukuha mo sa buyer mo.
So, anong ginagawa ng vessel? You make it possible for small businesses to get insurance? Ganon?
Correct po. Yes. That's the right question. What Vessel does is yung platform namin is nagpartner kami sa mga insurers and we convince them that there's a big SME market na hindi natatap and hindi nyo yan natatap kasi wala kayong platform na nagagamit para i-manage yung mga maliliit na invoices . Kaya the insurers are using our platform to manage those small invoices. So, in other words, what Vessel does is hindi namin pinapabayad yung mga businesses ng malaking premium na upfront, which is what's happening now. Tingi-tingi yung bayad nila. So, paliit-liit.
Okay. Now, that's very useful, no? Sige, mag-usap tayo kasi may negosyo din ako . Pero,
Oo.
tanungin natin si Abby, okay. GoGenie is an e-commerce agency that provides online, offline distribution services for retailers. No? Sige. Okay.
Yes.
Kung ako retailer, Abby, paano mo ako tutulungan? Sige nga, paano mo ako matutulungan?
Ayan. So, kasi Sir Mon, I've been in the e-commerce scene ng 9 years na, no? From my career nga, then becoming a startup founder myself. My first startup is also in e-commerce. It's called Style Genie. So, medyo fashion. And then, last year, because of the pandemic, I had the second one, which is Grocer Genie. And yun nga, finally, this year, we launched Go Genie, which is an agency that helps retailers sell online to as many marketplace channels as they wish to be active or be live.
Anong klaseng retailer ang pinag-uusapan natin dito, Abby?
Yeah,
Nagbebenta ng ano?
mostly sermon actually ngayon, groceries. Kasi nga, galing ako sa grocer genie eh. So, yun, na-realize ko working with direct vendors or direct FMCG brands na nakalakihan natin sa lahat ng supermarket offline. Nung nag-pandemic nga po, lahat sila nagpanic na parang wala silang e-commerce presence, wala silang kahit website lang, wala sila.
That's right,
And
that's right.
yun nga, pag sinabing e-commerce, ang alam lang nila is yung dalawang top websites or top marketplaces sa Philippines. But
Mm.
actually, there's so many e-commerce platforms na local and equally competitive in terms of yung use or shopper count, 'di ba, sa Philippines. And yun nga, nami-miss out nila because hindi nila masyadong kabisado. So that's why we're here, para tulungan yung mga retailers. Ngayon, puro groceries, pero actually, we're slowly helping pati gadgets, home decors, stationery, yan. Lahat ng mga yung kailangan mo ng bilhin. Yan.
Okay. Oo nga, kasi, di ba? Lalo na
Walang
kung
mall.
lockdown, walang,
Yes.
puro ka online bumibili ngayon, di ba? Oh,
Mm-mm.
okay. Now, the two of you, Abby at saka Mao, I mean, okay, you joined She Loves Tech. Paano ito
Opo.
nakatulong sa inyo? Yung karanasan na yun, going through this startup competition, tapos magpipitch kayo ng ganyan. So, what did you learn? Ano, nakatulong ba ito sa inyo?
Should I go first?
O, sige, ikaw.
Go.
Sige. Kasi actually, Sir Mon, ayan nanonood ako kanina with Rhea and Kat. Kasi I joined She Loves Tech 3 years. 3 consecutive years. And really, it's not about winning or, I'm going to China. Kasi before, nung pre-pandemic, pupunta sa China yung winner, di ba? But for me, it's really
Okay.
more about, yun nga, telling more people about what I do, what we do. Kasi yun nga, yung awareness, kumbaga, sa e-commerce scene talaga, yun yung gusto kong ma-achieve, and that becoming an opinion leader in that in this industry, yun yung important for me. And of course, nakatulong yung She Loves Tech because na-feel ko yung empowerment nila with women founders na more often than not, kami, overlooked or hindi kami kasali sa boys club. So yun.
Okay.
I agree.
Ikaw, Mao.
I agree po with nung to 2019, hindi pa yun pandemic. It was really difficult to get the word out about, your business. It's a new idea, trade credit insurance. Di ko nga alam yan nung wala pa ako sa London, di ba? Paano pa yung wala sa finance talaga. So, it's really about communicating your story to a big audience, which She Loves Tech has. Imagine, 50 countries, di ba? So, it's really about connecting with people, looking for partners, possible, syempre, clients also, and investors, ganun. So, it's really about that. Tama si...
Alam mo, ang lumalabas dito sa usapan na to, bukod sa pera, siyempre yung financing is important, no? Yung networking, hindi ba? Yung
Correct,
networking. Kung wala kang ecosystem na mga potential partners, potential clients, hindi mo mapapalago yung negosyo mo eh. Paano ba? Is it harder for women technopreneurs to build this ecosystem, itong networking na to? Ikaw, sige Mao, let me start with you kasi tumitingin ka sa sa kisame.
May cheating doon. In our industry po kasi, finance, medyo focused siya. So, konti lang yung kailangan mong kausapin. Pero the problem with that is, matagal sila mag-yes sa'yo. Kasi kailangan may traction ka, kailangan may napatunayan ka na, ganun. So, it's challenging. When it comes to spreading your word naman to your clients, kailangan talaga, actually now, it's easier because it's online eh. Before, you have to go to seminars at DTI, you have to get the word out there. Ganun. So,
Pero ngayon, pwede ka lang mag-zoom.
Oo, ngayon,
Yes.
pwede na mag-zoom. Pero
Ikaw?
yung sa industry po, sorry. Pero yun, sa industry po, konti lang yung kailangan kausapin. In our case, insurers, financiers, brokers, agents, and, konti sila pero matagal mag-yes.
Yeah, it's a small old boys club, di ba? Anyway, ikaw, Abby, ano naman masasabi mo sa puntong yun?
Sa networking, Sir Mon, actually hindi naman gano'n kahirap kasi nga e-commerce naman online. Ang challenge siguro namin kasi, yun nga, when you talk about FMCG or 'di ba grocery na retailers, manufacturers, sanay sila talaga sa traditional way of doing things. Like how they distribute their products, 'di ba? Very traditional na yun nga, may territory managers, may sales area managers sila, and they really go and knock into each retailer, 'di ba? Kung kahit gaano kaliit yan na sari-sari store or convenience store or etc. Or even restaurants, 'di ba? But yun nga, since the pandemic happened, they saw naman the importance of what we do or the value of what services we offer to them. But yung decision making siguro, yun pa rin yung very challenge kasi yun nga, maybe the managers ka-age namin, ganun. Pero yung like decision makers hindi. Kaya ano, hindi rin siya about gender eh. It's more of yun nga, the nakasanayan, kumbaga. It's hard to start yung change from within. Well, from yung internal ano nila, like way of doing things.
Pero ang sinasabi mo, Abby, hindi lang gender eh.
Mm.
Age
Age.
Age.
Correct, oo.
is
Correct.
also a factor in this networking thing.
Correct.
Okay, sandali, we're
Correct.
running out of time. Quick question na lang sa inyong dalawa, no? O sige, pandemic pa rin ngayon, no? It'll still take some time before, we get back to normal life. Ano nakikita niyong prospects for your respective businesses, no? Marami pa bang opportunities na nakikita kayo? What's your forecast? Anong tingin niyo? Mau, ikaw muna.
Yeah. Yes. Marami pang prospects. Yeah, marami pa. It's if you think about like I said, may ilan lang ba yung nakakaalam ng trade credit insurance and how helpful it actually is, 'di ba, for your business if you're trying to expand, if you're trying to get financing, malaki pa talaga yung potential niya. We just have to find the right partners and the right marketing channels for what we have to offer. Ganun siya, sir.
Okay, ikaw naman, Abby, what can you say?
Well, yes, e-commerce is happening now and it's the future talaga. There's just gonna be more payment options nga online. There's just gonna be better logistics siguro in the Philippines kasi nga medyo challenging talaga logistics din in the Philippines. Wala nang choice din mga brands I mean, if it's not our agency, for sure they're gonna look for e-commerce agencies or hire internal or their in-house personnel to do their e-commerce strategies. But yun nga, the future is really going into more ways to distribute their products online. So yun, it's very exciting. And ayun, I'm excited to be here in the forefront of things in e-commerce.
Okay, thank you very much, Abby. Tsaka Mau, no? We're gonna take a break. We'll bring you back, so don't go away. Mga kaibigan, tutuloy pa natin after this break. Welcome back, mga kaibigan. We'll bring back our 4 guests tonight. Let's bring them back on and see Rhea and Kat. Hi, Rhea, Kat, and then also Mau and Abby. Sige. Guys, I have some very nice questions that have come in already on nandito na sa Viber ko, no? Okay. Let me go straight to them already. From Krista Angeline. Nagmamatter ba kapag ang babae ay may anak? Mas marami bang opportunities sa single women? I don't know where that question came from, but I think I know. I kind of understand where it's coming from. Anybody want to take that question? Sandali, Mau, tumawa ka eh.
Hindi, I think may nagtanong sa akin once din naman kasi if I had a family na or something. So I'm not sure if that mattered, pero it was an investor in Singapore. Ganon. May nagtanong. I think kasi ina-assume nila na hindi ko maaalagaan yung company pag lumaki yung mga anak ko kung may anak na. Ganon. Yeah. So, parang may
And I
ganyan
will
question.
say this.
Kat,
Ano ba?
what do you think? What do you
I
think?
don't think, I think lahat kami dito are walang kids. Tama ba? Pero,
Wala.
ang masasabi ko lang dyan, sabi nga nila parang minsan daw yung co-founders mo, mas madalas mo pa makita kaysa sa pamilya mo or sa asawa mo. It does take a lot to start a business. And
Yeah.
sometimes, mahirap na, yun nga, distracted ka. Pero on the other hand, marami rin tayong entrepreneurs na women na may anak. And at the same time, sabi nila iba daw yung focus mo pag may kids ka na. Meron din tayong mga businesses na focused on the family. So, yun nga, like, I think Edamama is a great example, no? Like, women-led business in e-commerce na sobrang bilis nila lumago ngayon. So, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing or a good thing, no? Pero kahit na whether single ka or may anak ka, mahirap magtayo ng negosyo. So, dapat buo talaga yung loob mo before you do it. Like, that's all. I think that's what I'd have to say about that.
Well, but let me put it this way, guys. Sometimes the question is also asked from women professionals, di ba? People who are working in companies. No, the same challenge is kind of posed to them na panito, how can you succeed in your executive life if you are also a mother? How do you answer a question like that?
I mean, ako like my answer to that is like, is that the same question you would ask of a guy? Parang, shouldn't the childcare responsibilities be shared also by men and women? So, ako I feel like it shouldn't be a question like in the sense na parang the right partner should also support, di ba? Parang you should share equally in the responsibilities of raising kids. And I think that's a big misconception or norm maybe. But again, I wanna hear from the other ladies. Pero
Ako,
Anybody?
siguro,
Ikaw.
ang comment ko dyan, like, men or women naman, equal opportunities are given to us. And lalo na now na pandemic, there's more ways for us to work from home. I mean, halos lahat nga, working from home, diba? So it's not really a barrier anymore. Like, are you gonna be at home more, are you gonna file leaves more often? Are you gonna, diba? I think kasi, I mean, coming from a perspective ng employer, yun yung mga questions, diba? Like, are you gonna file a leave often kasi susunduin mo yung anak mo, or you're gonna have a maternity leave, ganyan. I think hindi na siya ganun kalaking factor, especially now nga na more companies are going towards yung work from home or hybrid setup na work from home minsan and then in the office minsan. So parang ngayon nga equal na lang siya. It's just a matter of time management, I think. So hindi siya talaga, I mean, factor for me as an employer or as someone na being asked about my company. Yeah.
Okay, sige. I have another question. This one, I think I'll toss this to you, Rhea. This is from Ike Pagao. He's asking, is gender bias more, is there more differences in gender biases in Eastern Asian cultures versus Western or American, European? Does it make a difference? I mean, I'm asking you kasi you have 50 countries participating. Do you see a difference, let's say, when you're talking about different areas of the world?
I would say yes and no. I'll answer no first. No, because I think it's a universal problem.
Okay.
Like gender, the gender divide is a universal problem and it exists everywhere. It's just the cultural norms are different, so it leads to different biases, right? And sometimes stronger than others. And also, actually, economic levels affect that a lot as well, right? So, for example, what we just spoke about earlier in terms of whether or not being a pregnant mother or being a mother plays a role. I mean, we're very lucky. Like the four of us, I think, we came from a certain background, and also like the Philippines in general, it's a little bit better than other countries, right? But not to say that this problem doesn't exist. It exists even here, but but probably in certain countries more so. So we did a study, I think, when was it already? I think it was like 3 years ago. It was in China, right? So we were trying to figure out like the professional challenges that women face in their careers, right? And so if you look at traditionally, if you look at the challenges that women face in the workforce in the West, maybe you would see a lot more issues about sexual harassment and like things like that, right? But in Asia, specifically in China at that time, we noticed that the top three challenges were all related to the household, right? So the biggest was the lack of support from the household. So, for example, like earlier, both of our founders were very lucky because they came from a background where their family supported them. At least there were no big issues and challenges there. But in certain families, that's not the case, right? So, and when you say household, it's also your husband, right? So we just spoke about being pregnant. So you're right. Like, unfortunately, right now we only have maternity leave, right? We don't have paternity leave. So if there are certain companies that really care about this, then of course they would care, because naturally they know that society would only give like leave to women, and like so the women would share that would have that responsibility to take care of their child. So for a while, mo that's a company. So some companies do care actually, and I mean this is not a good thing. Obviously, I don't support this, and luckily now a lot of like larger companies are preventing. It's part of their policies, right? They cannot ask questions related to this. They cannot ask questions related to like the status of the woman. They cannot ask whether they're gonna get married or they're gonna have kids. But these things, they're not allowed to ask these questions. So I would say yes to a certain extent, right? To back to your original question, Asia versus the East versus West. I think again, it's a universal problem, so it exists everywhere. But I think a huge reason as well is not just culture, but like the economics of the country, right? So right now, for example, in Europe, like Northern Europe is the most gender equal supposedly, but
Yeah.
ironically, we don't have a lot of female founders, right? So there, you go back to the circle. So why not? Because like now, like we think that the challenge, the reason why there are not enough female founders is because the opportunity is not there. But there, like they don't have challenges. It's very equal. All opportunities are there. So you question why. Then again, you go back to education. So it's actually a very complicated problem, and it stems from the childhood, and then we go up. So actually, we really need the support of like public institutions, right? Like governments to change things, because we're only part of a small part of this, and we need like the support of everyone to change anything really.
Okay. Thanks, Rhea. And that was an interesting point, no, about Northern Europe. No, I didn't realize that was the situation. Two quick questions because we're almost out of time now. No, to our technopreneurs. No, this is from Jake. What trade credit insurance policies do you offer SMEs? Ano, Mao, quick
Sorry,
lang.
what kind of trade credit insurance policy?
Yeah, what kind and what trade credit insurance policies do you offer
Ah,
SMEs?
it's technically yung partners namin na insurers yung nag-offer. Our platform is allows you to get it. It's called pay per invoice trade credit insurance. So, kung yung invoice mo is 10,000 pesos, then yung babayaran mo is yung parang, let's say, 1%. 1% lang ng 10,000 na premium. So, that's what you
Okay.
call yung pay per invoice trade credit insurance.
Okay. Now, another quick question because we're really running out of time. This one is for you, Abby, no? From Baron Bautista. Dali. Paano i-apply ang mga produkto sa GoGenie platform po? May mga SMEs kasi sa remote areas baka pwedeng tulong magbenta ng products sa merkado. How do you answer that question?
Yes, ayan. Email niyo po ako.
Haba yung
hello@gogenie.ph.
sagot.
Mahaba yung instruction eh. Pero yun, email niyo po ako sa hello@gogenie.ph. We're also looking for partners sa mga remote areas para may ways din na makatulong kami sa rural areas. Kasi nakita din namin to sa China when I was part of the Alibaba e-founders. And meron talagang solutions sa mga rural area na SMEs natin or even farmers. And yun lang, kailangan lang talaga ng someone who will kumbaga magli-lead sa kanila doon, and then kami naman yung enablers that will help them. So looking forward na sana meron tayong kumbaga leader nila per province.
Okay, sige. Last, Kat, no? I mean, I understand that, what word can you give us about She Loves Tech? Okay, just to wrap this whole thing up.
Yes, well, number one, ang nagdala po ng gold sa Pilipinas for the first time ay babae po. So, don't underestimate the ability of women
Okay,
to
okay.
bring home the gold. And we will have the She Loves Tech finals on October 14. So, tune in for that. Pero, yun nga po, support our women-led businesses. Don't underestimate them. And invest in them, use their products. At the end of the day, like, yun po ang pinaka-importante. And the Philippines is in such a good position. Actually, number one po tayo sa gender equality survey overall, like, according to Grant Thornton in 2021. So,
Yeah.
unfortunately sa tech, medyo meron pa rin tayong, ewan ko, nasiisip pa rin natin na hindi kaya ng babae yan. Pero, I mean, it's such a big opportunity space to embrace. We are supporting women through Startup Pinay, through She Loves Tech. Marami pong pagkakataon to support our women-led businesses. And of course,
Okay.
gusto ko ring plug as a final thought yung Philippine Startup Week po. So that's the biggest showcase ng lahat ng mga nagsastart ng business sa Philippines in tech, including many, many women this November. So yeah, check out She Loves Tech, check out Philippine Startup Week, and support our women-led businesses. And that's my final
Okay.
thought.
On that very feminist note, maraming salamat sa inyo lahat. Thank you very much, ladies, for joining us tonight. I'm sorry we really ran out of time. We gotta close the shop. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you everyone. Stay
Thank
safe.
you. Stay safe.
Okay, thank you very much at maraming salamat mga kaibigan for joining us tonight. Maraming salamat din ho to our guests, no? Laging tandaan, malaki po ang pakinabang ng gadgets, pero teka muna. Think before you click. Magandang gabi muli sa amin dito sa Teka Muna. Kami po ang 1PH Teleservisyo para sa Pilipino.